Take them or leave them, but by 2020, the millennials will make up a third of all adults in the United States.
You may know one, millennials lacking life skills like cooking, budgeting, or time management.
They're not interested in owning a house.
Many millennials say buying a home these days is just not an option.
She is calling millennials the burnout generation.
According to a new study, millennials say that the term snowflake is in fact harmful to their mental health.
Millennials hate this shit. They hate it.
Welcome to another episode of Millennial Malarkey. I'm Adam.
I'm Alec.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Jesse.
How are we doing today, boys?
All right, guy.
Just all right.
That's right, just all right.
Oh. Are you sick?
No.
You don't have the Rona, do you?
No. I'm just in quarantine like everybody else.
Something like that.
I thought you were going to say something to the effect of, I'm not in quarantine, and brag about how you're running all over the city.
I wouldn't brag about that. That would get me lynched right now.
Anyway, so the topic for today's episode is we're just catching up. Catching up from the end of season 1, which was how long ago?
A few months.
I think it was back in November, so what's that, like 6 months?
5.
5 months.
I went the wrong way, off of 6.
Geez, so moving forward, our juiciest co-host and or host, Juice Boy McGee himself, Jesse, has been busy doing PhD academic glass.
You say glass or class?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. There was no glass involved. There's no glass involved.
Yeah, no glass. He's not doing glass anymore. It's advanced glass now. He's leveled up. He's only dealing with advanced glass.
No. But moving forward, these longer episodes with all of us here will be a little interspersed, if you will, as our boy Jesse is working on his PhD, and he loves writing papers, don't you?
That's right. Any and all of my bosses listening, I love papers. It's my life. I couldn't be happier. To any of my not bosses listening, somebody please help me. They keep assigning me papers.
So anyway, we might come up with a few of millennial mini malarkeys of just either 2 or 3 of us talking about a little shorter format kind of podcast kind of deal. But for today, you get all 4 of us here. So I guess I'll start with catching up since November. I've moved back to Kansas City. And then I'm still working my job. I actually just signed a contract for this summer for my college, which is very nice. I'm teaching another 2 classes. I thought it was going to be 1 class, which is less money because I get paid per credit hour. So I get paid for 2 classes, which is very nice. But the big boo is that the college I'm working for right now is being bought out by a university, and it's making me very, very sad.
Wait, what does that mean for you?
So the new university has adjunct rates that are much, much less than what I'm getting paid now, about a third less. Which is, so I'm getting a pay cut, which is kind of a bummer. But we're sticking with the old adjunct rates for the summer, but it's subject to change for the fall, which is very unfortunate for me because I like money.
When you say that it's being bought out by a university, does that mean that you would be like moving locations to fit in like on that university's campus?
Yeah. So I work from home, so it doesn't really matter in that regard. I think we're still using the same software for all of that. I know Payroll systems are being changed, the whole HR thing. I had to do a big old Zoom virtual HR meeting that was incredibly boring. Stuff like that. My benefits are changing and stuff like that.
That's no fun.
Yeah. Is it a KC area university that's buying it out, or is it somewhere else in the country?
No, it's a KC area one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's just, different boss, different, all that things. But essentially my job and what I'll be doing is the exact same. So I'm not sure if I want to still continue to teach, even with a third pay cut.
Yeah.
I went to my boss, the dean of my college, and I told her, I was like, hey, I can make more money packing boxes for Amazon. This is kind of, it's sad, but it's really true.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunate, but we'll see what the future holds after this summer. So, but in the meantime, I've signed my contract for the summer. That's all good to go. Other bad news is with all this quarantine is I'm no longer going to the beach for the summer.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Actually, it's still up in the air, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, they just called an official stay-at-home order here in Tennessee, but obviously you're allowed to leave for essential activities or whatever. And, outdoor time is considered an essential activity here, as long as you're, respecting whatever 6-foot distance parameters they've kind of put in place. So I still go out for a walk every day through my neighborhood and stuff like that to get a little fresh air. So
absolutely.
I mean, if it's a big public beach, maybe they've closed, but you could probably find some beaches out there that you can just go and spend some time and you still be basically quarantined just with the fresh air.
Right. Well, so the thing is, I'm talking about the Outer Banks. My grandparents have the beach house there. So the thing there is that there's only 2 ways you can really get to the Outer Banks, and they're both on bridges. So the Outer Banks is actually ruled that only residents are allowed on the Outer Banks anymore. So even my grandparents, who are residents in Virginia, in Chesapeake, Virginia, cannot get to their house, even though they own property down there.
Gotcha.
They just have, they have police sitting at the end of the bridge that'll turn you around.
Ew. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe you're not getting back out there.
No. But I'm still hopeful on the horizon, because since my grandparents own the beach house, they've been giving out a lot of refunds to the people that have booked vacations, because you're not allowed to be out there. So maybe the hope is that someone doesn't book on a week, and I can, with my online job, I can work from anywhere. So I can say, oh, that week's not booked the week before. I can drive out there. It's my grandparents' beach house, so I can be there whenever it's not being booked. So possibly holding out hope for the future, but probably not, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, hopefully by the time summer rolls around, this is all kind of over anyways.
Blown out. Yeah, hopefully. So that's enough about me. What about you, Alec?
I may have had the most changes since we last talked.
Maybe.
Yeah, so after our season 1, I went on my very first cruise. Juliana and I went together, something we wanted to do to kind of celebrate her finishing her internship.
How many ice creams did you have?
Oh my God, all of them. It was great.
My record is 47.
In a trip or in a day, or I need some context?
7-week cruise, 47 ice creams.
Impressive. Okay.
Yes,
didn't Connor Blinzler eat 96 donuts in one day when we were in high school?
Was it 96? 8 dozen?
I feel like that would kill him.
Well, I could eat a lot. I mean, I could easily put down 1 or 2 dozen. But he said throughout the day. I think it was 96.
96? That's impressive.
That sounds...
Because those are Krispy Kreme too, so that's all just
They're dense.
fat.
They're dense.
Oh, it's so good though. I could.
If he's listening, I'm sorry if that's the wrong number, but like I swear to God, there was a rumor that went around that like the most anybody ever ate was him, and it was 96 in a day.
96.
Like, oh my God!
Goodness gracious. Well, Connor, if you're listening,
yeah,
hit us up at our Twitter handle at MLL, MILL. Sorry, Malarkey.
Make the record straight.
Yeah. That is a bunch.
Sorry,
anyway,
Wait, so Alec, you ate all the ice cream.
All the ice cream. It was really interesting though, because this was like a few weeks before the coronavirus stuff really got bad in the United States. It was actually about a week later that there were like 3 or 4 cases confirmed in the US. So we really kind of got lucky that we were able to go on that, not have any issues.
Yeah. Impeccable timing.
Yeah, exactly. So Juliana finished her internship and had accepted a job in Sacramento. So that's where we are right now. We moved out here. She's been doing that. She's been doing she's a music therapist. So her, job is to be driving around to different patients or clients, and, having sessions with them. Can't really do that anymore. Can't really travel. So she's been doing a lot of that stuff online. So it's nice that she's still able to work, especially because I cannot. I quit my part-time job at the church, and I went back to a freelance contractor for Frost Media. So I did a couple of editing projects for them. And then it was just like a few days ago that they basically told me like, hey, like, we're sorry, but we just don't have enough work anymore since everything has kind of slowed down. We have to pull in our projects. So I am 100% unemployed and living in California. So even if I did have a job, there's a good chance I wouldn't be able to pay my rent. But
So what you're saying is anyone listening right now can go on to Venmo right now at Bill Malarkey, right?
Sure, we'll set up a GoFundMe. But this morning I got an email that was like, hey, Amazon is hiring again. So I applied for that, and I have like a virtual interview, an online interview tomorrow morning. So maybe I'll be working at Amazon packing boxes for like $15 an hour. So, that could work.
There you go.
Heck yeah.
There you go.
Hey, you could join me after I quit my job. We could be Amazon buddies.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. You just got to move out to Sacramento.
How about I just ship myself? Perks of the job.
Yeah. There you go. In other news, about a week after we moved out here, we got a cat.
Other news, that's the best news.
Sure. He loves to scream. He screams at us in the morning. Also, to give you guys some perspective on like how hard of a toll quarantine has taken on me, I this morning finished a day in the life video for the cat. So that's where I'm at mentally.
Oh my God. Is that out yet?
No. Juliana will probably post it on his Instagram like tomorrow.
Excellent.
Which I guess when you're listening to this kind of depends on when it is. What we're recording on April 5th today. So I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing whenever this comes out, that video will already be released.
What's your cat's Instagram handle?
Do Re Miso Cat.
It should have been Miso Malarkey.
That's pretty good. We'll make a separate account that's just him promoting our channel.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, actually, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, just everything was such a blur with, moving and job hunting, and I don't know. It's weird because everything was moving really, really fast, and then quarantine happened and everything slowed down so hard. I basically have gotten into this habit of I wake up in the morning, I do some job hunting, I play some video games.
Nice.
Play some more video games after. I go to bed, and that's about it.
Heck yeah.
Well, Hey, I don't know what Adam's doing. I know what Jesse's doing, which and you'll get more into detail, but it's papers. But I know that I also play video games at various points during the day. Maybe we have the Malarkey gaming channel.
I am all for that. I think that'd be really cool. I don't know.
There you go.
I don't know what games we could be doing.
Only Super Mario Sunshine.
Oh, dude, I've heard there's a rumor going around that Nintendo's going to release like a 35th anniversary celebration sort of thing for Super Mario, where they'll have like a game come out that's like Super Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy all in one.
Oh,
dang! That's
Switch port.
That's like the big three.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to see that.
It's a big four. Odyssey was a great game. Thank
you. It was, but it's on the Switch already, so.
Was Odyssey actually a great game?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I mean, I think that Sunshine was the best, followed by Odyssey, then 64, then Galaxy.
Alec, did you get 999 moons in Odyssey?
No.
Oh, dude, come on.
I didn't find them all. I bought the ones that I needed, but
yeah.
Wow.
You buy ones that you need, and then you have to go back and buy more to get the 999. You have to buy duplicates to pump that number up. I think it's like 880 moons in that game.
It's something absurd. It's like the Korok seeds in Breath of the Wild. Oh, Breath of the Wild. I have logged about 500 plus hours in that already, and I just started getting back into that one again because I have nothing else going on in my life.
Goodness gracious.
You could make a RuneScape account and go pillage around and lumberage your Falador with me.
Oh my gosh.
Is RuneScape back?
Oh, RuneScape is very big.
Dude,
Original
it's
RuneScape
it's probably bigger than ever, except for, when it first came out or whatever.
Yep.
Wow.
Would you agree with that, Jesse?
Yeah, I have people who play that at work during lunch.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now they probably play it all day because they don't work, but they do anything to play that game. Like they'll just set their characters like to go on like a 20-minute walk somewhere just to, I think walking levels you up somehow. I don't remember how it is.
I played free to play.
Doing something.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Like that. They'll set their characters up to do that and just walk away for 20 minutes, come back, and it's ridiculous.
There was actually one time back in, I think I was in like 6th grade or something like that, but I had a free-to-play account forever. And then our family went down to Florida because it was the summer, and that's what we do. And that was actually going to be the first time my dad, JD, and I had ever been to, well, I don't know about my dad, but at least JD and I had ever been to Disney World ever. And, we did the whole stay there at the hotel for a couple of days, go see multiple parks. But 2 days before we went to Disney World, my dad allowed us to upgrade our free-to-play to like a paid subscription to RuneScape and get access to all the other skills and quests and stuff like that. And so the entire time we were at Disney World, we were just pouting because we wanted to get back and just play RuneScape so badly, but we weren't allowed to bring our laptops to the park, so we were just sitting there complaining because all we wanted to do was be back home and play RuneScape.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
All right. How
No
many of
regrets.
you created a female account just so you could scam people by being their RuneScape girlfriend?
I'm not proud of it, but yeah.
Me too, definitely.
Oh my god.
I guess I kind of thought that was just a joke. People do that on like what's like Roblox or something? That's the one that all the memes are about.
No, I was doing that in like middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an age-old practice because there's a good chance you have at least one girlfriend on RuneScape, maybe more, but there's 100% chance that if you have a girlfriend on RuneScape, it's another guy.
No, 100%.
Because the few girls that are on there are not willing to be girlfriends with anyone on that site.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But, not to get too off topic there, but Alex, so this is the first time you've ever really lived outside of Kansas City, right?
Yeah. I was going to say, first time being out of the Midwest, but yeah, really first time living out of Kansas City. I mean, I went to school in Maryville, Missouri, but even then I was visiting Kansas City pretty frequently.
The
So, yeah,
bustling metropolis.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird change and not being around family, and I don't know.
Are you liking California like so far? I mean, at least from what you've been able to see in the short time before the world ended.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we really didn't get to do much because we kind of lived here for a week and kind of got situated, got a cat, and then things just locked down. So we were planning on going to, explore. There's a lot of cool stuff around Sacramento. It's like a day trip away from the beach. It's a day trip away from like the mountains, like Lake Tahoe, like wine country. There's a lot of really cool stuff around, but we can't do anything. We can't go anywhere. So
Womp womp.
yeah, but we'll get there. Hopefully, like you guys said, this kind of ends around, summer, but I think that's really hopeful. I think there's a lot of stupid people that are still just going out to go out, and there's a lot of spreading, like the disease is still spreading. So, it'll probably be, I don't know. I'm probably just like being too pessimistic about it, but I wouldn't expect this to get any better, before the summer's over.
Yeah.
My sister is getting married in May, at the end of May, but they're looking at pushing that back to August now. So that's just another little bummer that's happened from everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry to bring it all
Praise the
down.
Good job,
Didn't mean to
Alex.
get all, I got it all gloomy, but Andrew, what about you? How are things going in Nashville?
Things are going pretty well. I think when our last podcast of season 1, or our last episode of season 1 happened, I was still doing the band stuff as best I can, or as frequently as I can. And then in the meantime, I was still doing some part-time work at Sam's Club in the mornings. I quit Sam's Club midway through December or something like that. That way I could try and focus on music a little more. And still going strong with that. Played a show in between then and now, not with that group, but kind of it was we got hit by that tornado a couple of weeks before this coronavirus stuff really started hitting the fan here. And so there was a charity show set up to kind of help with the relief funds for the tornado victims and stuff like that. And it was just, 35, 40, something like that. Different musicians in the area all playing different instruments or singing or whatever. And so it was just a cover set of, I think the actual set list ended up being 35 or 36 songs long, but just, songs by a bunch of metal bands like Avenged Sevenfold, Parkway Drive, Bolt for My Valentine, that type of stuff. And, kind of switching off on all the songs. So I was in 6 of those songs that ended up being played that night. And basically just totally new bands each time. There may have been like a guitarist in one song that I played with twice, or a drummer or something like that. But it was a real cool way to meet a bunch of people and, to play a show, which is fun, but then still doing stuff with the original group. I think back in November, there were the 3 of us, the drummer, the other guitar player, both of which sing, and then me also on guitar. Since then, we've added a bass player, and we've had a singer come in that we've jammed with a little bit, and he's not officially in the fold yet because he plays guitar with another band around here that is has received a lot of attention and stuff like that, and definitely has a busy schedule when the world is open. Like, they're actually supposed to be playing a big festival with Shinedown later this month, which I'm sure got canceled, but they're busy, so we're not exactly sure how he's going to be able to fit into this in terms of commitment and stuff like that. But he's jammed with us a few times and sounded good, so we're looking forward to figuring that situation out. But then in the meantime, I've traveled a lot too, and actually I was back in KC at one point in February for my mom's birthday, and my mom and dad mentioned that they were thinking about retiring out this way, out by Nashville instead of to Florida, which is their previous plan, and that kind of jogged a conversation, or whatever, started a conversation where I sort of told them that I was feeling like, no matter if music works out for me or not, I think that this kind of Middle Tennessee, somewhere within a 45-minute radius of Nashville area, is a really good culture fit for me. And even if I'm not playing, I think I'd like to settle down here. So I'm studying to take the LSAT again now because if you want to go to law school, you basically have to do that in the state wherever you ultimately live, because the bar has state specific, law questions on it. And for me, the best choice for school, for law school, is going to be Vanderbilt. And the score I got when I took the LSAT back in college was a 162, which translates to about 85th to an 85th percentile score. And that's really good for me. Like, it would get me a lot of scholarship opportunities at a lot of schools, but not for Vanderbilt. So, currently taking a course right now online through Kaplan to try and bump my score up to at least 92nd percentile, 93rd percentile. I think with my GPA and my university background would be good. And then, hopefully we'll be doing actually the JD MBA program, the dual degree program there at Vanderbilt, because I know I want to work in music somehow, even if it's not performing, but I don't know exactly what the opportunities look like other than stuff on the road, which is, I think, would be selling myself short there. So still trying to kind of figure out what I ultimately want to do, but I think that by hopefully being able to get into Vanderbilt's JD MBA program, I could kind of keep my options open and figure that out along the way and be able to go either into the legal side or, a business side of things and kind of get it figured out. So that's what's been going on with me, but still having
Andrew,
a good time out here. Yes, sir.
Have you ever thought about being a small-time pizza lawyer?
A small-time pizza lawyer?
Yeah.
I hear Papa John's looking for one.
I think if I did that, I'd really be raking in the dough. So, I'm interested.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, look at that. Well, look at that.
Ugh.
Maybe I could move out to California with Alec and be a comedian.
It's possible.
Sure.
But what's the pizza lawyer?
It's nothing. I think it was a Cece's commercial, or was it Pizza Ranch? I'm sure it was off a commercial.
Oh, okay.
You're good.
Well, yeah, that's all I've got. So, anything cool happening with you, Jesse?
Well, wait, real quick.
Yeah.
I think last time we were talking about your band and everything, you guys had not settled on a name, but you guys have one now, right?
Oh, yeah, duh. Yeah, we do. We have a name. It's called Sideline Heroes. We're on Instagram and Facebook and all that right now. Doing that. I just reached out to Alec a few nights ago because we're trying to get a logo figured out at this point in time. And we've got a few different ideas that have kind of been sketched out poorly by us just to kind of get an idea across. And so I sent them over to Alec to see if he could kind of draw them up to look a little more legit so we could kind of critique the ideas and make some edits to those instead of just, a rough pen and paper sketch. So things are looking a little legit, or at least a little more legit. I will say that I'm actually really excited about, I think, the potential with this group, definitely more so than the group I was in when I moved out here. It's a little bit of a different sound than I'm used to because I kind of come from more of a metalcore and also radio rock background. So stuff either like Parkway Drive or Bullet for My Valentine versus Breaking Benjamin and Shinedown. And this is kind of like a pop punk group, sort of, Blink-182 influences in there, but also bands like State Champs or A Day to Remember, which is not at all anything I ever listened to. But it's, the more I've listened to music like that and the more I've written stuff for it and got to play what we're writing, I'm really excited by it. And it seems like that movement's kind of coming back into focus a little bit right now, or making a little bit of a resurgence. So I feel like if there's any time to be a part of one of those bands, it's hypothetically right now. So I'm excited about that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Have you released anything yet?
No, we were supposed to go record about 2 weeks ago at a buddy of ours' house who's looking to build his portfolio and just get a couple demos done. But we weren't in like a stay-at-home order or anything like that yet, because that just happened either yesterday or the day before here. But I think that he just wasn't as comfortable with us all going to hang out and do that, which we didn't have an issue with it, but he was understandably uncomfortable. So we've since just been recording our own stuff kind of back here. Like I've recorded my guitar parts. Actually, I did it in KC because I was visiting home at this point 2 weeks ago. But I recorded my guitar parts in KC. Zach, our drummer, recorded his drum parts at his house, and we've all kind of, emailed our own individual parts in there for him to kind of mix and master. So I think vocals haven't been done yet. And might not be done yet for a little bit. That way we can kind of get the tracks back and then listen to the song as a whole and figure out maybe any sort of vocal edits we need to make and kind of make sure that's as good as possible. So nothing's been released yet, but stuff has definitely been worked on and will be released within, I would say, the next month or two. So.
Right.
Awesome.
Well, if you're still looking for a singer, I do have vocal cords.
That's good. Do you know how to use them?
Huh?
Do you know how to use them?
Vocal cord? Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm talking to you, so.
Yeah.
Perfect. I think that checks the requirements.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. If you want to head out here, hang out with me, play some RuneScape, sing some tunes.
Yeah.
I mean, because
the
the four of us were in a band back in the day. We were in two bands. We were in the Park Hill South Marching Band, and then Milk Egg.
Right. Oh yeah, Milk Egg.
Milk Egg.
That's going to be your side project.
Oh yeah, that'll be with the four of us. I could record all
Jesse
the parts.
on the glass.
Play triangle, thank you.
What was that, Jesse?
I play triangle, thank you.
The triangle.
No, that's metal, not ceramic. I didn't think you ceramic engineers believed in metal.
Oh, technically we do. It's not a popular belief, but we know they exist. We are working with them.
Is it kind of like an Old Testament, New Testament thing where it's like the metal Old Testament is sort of the foundation of things, but you don't really subscribe to it, or it doesn't trump the ceramic stuff, right?
They have their uses. Let's say that. They have their reasons to be used, but ultimately in the long run, there's just some things that you can't use them for. And so you need to go to ceramic.
Mm.
But are there things you can't use ceramic for?
Then you engineer the ceramic to use it for that. Or you engineer metals and ceramic to use it for that.
Oh, there you go. Sounds like something that's been keeping you up at night doing papers.
Maybe. So like in an airplane engine, the things that like sustain or they with what is it when you handle it? They handle withhold. They can stand all the heat, but they are like 200 or 300 degrees above their melting temperature. But because of how the part is engineered and cooled and all this other stuff, it operates at those extreme quote unquote conditions for itself, which is 200 or 300 degrees above its melting temperature. So things can be done with lower melting temperature materials. That's not necessarily my job, but it is the job of, fluid dynamicists and everything to come up with ways to figure that stuff out. So.
Gotcha.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's doable. But no, ceramics have their time and place. Metals have their time and place. You learn that pretty quick. So.
Fair enough.
Nobody's going to pay for $1 billion ceramic part that you can only make one of when you can make 50 million of them for the same amount of money with a metal and just keep replacing them. So until it becomes so expensive that you have to switch to the ceramic one. But
kind of sounds like you're a materialist, like racist against specific materials.
Yeah.
I don't like being accused of that, but
but there's some degree of truth in it. Yeah.
I do have a preference, and that's why I'm a ceramic engineer, not a metallurgist.
So Jesse, what's going on with you? How's all those papers?
Well, the papers are only recent. So since November, I finished my courses for the fall, which was not too shabby. It was kind of a toilsome time, but I got everything done that I needed to get done. And I had mentioned that I was trying to get everything wrapped up in order to start studying for a qualifying exam for my PhD. That's a test that just says, hey, you can't pass the test. You can only be good enough to not fail the test. And it basically says, okay, you meet our bare minimum requirements for getting a PhD program in this department at the school I go to. So,
is it like a is it specific to your school?
It is specific to the classes we take. Typically, if you're in a program like mine and you take, most people don't have a qualifier anymore. But those who do, you basically take the same kind of classes and you just study material kinetics, material thermodynamics, and then processing, characterization, and phase equilibria of materials. And so those are all things that well, some of it is, but some of it's not. There's a lot of it that's actually a lot of fun and really practical. So the stuff that, like phase equilibria, if you can actually pay attention and learn stuff in phase equilibria, it can really help you. And I'm not going to get into what that is, but basically there's all these different topics on the exam. Some are harder to study than others, but you go in and it's an all-day test, and you prepare, and so I got to study for like a month and a half, I think, and it was just nothing but me running problems and going over topics and remembering how to do this and remembering how to do that from when I took the classes. The hard part for me was I originally was a master's student, and master's students don't have to take these exams, and so to graduate. And so I told them later on, hey, I want to be a PhD. I won't graduate with a master's. I'll just continue on as a PhD and, just re-register or whatever. And they're like, okay, that's fine. But because of that, I didn't take the qualifier when I was supposed to. And so I was a year out from all the classes that I took that you're supposed to take the qualifier. So when I took thermo and kinetics and crystallography and all this other stuff that's on the qualifier, it had been a year or a year and a half in some cases since I took the courses. So it was a doozy to restudy for. But I restudied for it and kind of got my grip on it again. I passed. It was a very, very hard day, but I passed. It's like I said, it's an all-day exam. And then the next week or whatever, you take an oral exam. And you go try, like if you don't do well in the written portion, you have a chance to orally defend yourself, to be like, hey, maybe I can't take a test very well. Maybe I can speak it out loud a lot better. I know what you're saying.
It's like...
Anyhow,
sorry,
so
Jesse.
I took the oral portion of the exam, and it was really bad. I thought I failed it when I walked out of there. I was so angry that day. But I passed it. And there was apparently no debate. It was just yep, he passed.
Well, that's awesome.
So yeah, and my advisor told me that. He's like, I wouldn't worry about it if I was you. And he's like, there was no discussion, there was no nothing. There was just, yeah, he passed. So they just try to mess with you for a little bit, try to knock you down to size, make sure you realize you don't know everything, and then send you out of the room. So. But besides that, I did that. I started courses. I also had a conference in between now and then. And I went down to Florida to Daytona Beach and presented my work at a conference. And so that was really hard. Well, it was tough getting ready for it because I was studying for the qualifier and trying to do work and, trying to balance everything and get presentations ready. And ultimately, the conference itself went really well. I think my work was presented well, and I think my sponsor who presented with me, he presented before me. He set me up for pretty great success, and so I tried to return the favor when I was doing my presentation. But overall, I think it was a pretty power-packed session of good presentations. So I was happy about that, and then came back, started school. Corona hit. A lot of machines broke. And I was fixing a lot of machines for a very long time, trying to get my research going again. And basically, as I got the last part that I needed for my research to kind of start again, Corona was like, hey, don't come to school anymore. It's like, well, shoot, I can't even fix all those things that I've been trying to fix for so long. So, needless to say, if you're going to grad school, just remember, when you need a machine the most, it's going to break. And when you need to repair it quickly, it will take a long time to find the parts or get the parts made or whatever.
So Jesse,
and so now they have me writing papers because I can't go to school.
That's absolutely horrid.
Yeah. It's all right.
Jesse.
Yes.
What is your research over?
My research is on ceramic welding. So I study, there's a couple different ways to join a ceramic, just like you would join a metal.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a metal, you can think of welding, or brazing is another type of joining, which is basically putting something else instead of metal filler in your weld and joining it to things with that instead of like the same metal.
Inferior methods for inferior materials.
Same. Yeah. There's also friction stir welding, which is where you just kind of rub something against it really, really fast in a circle. And it heats it up really quickly.
I've
that's
seen
actually
those videos. Those
yeah,
are really
that's
cool.
They are very cool.
I'm an expert at that.
Stop. So friction stir welding is kind of sparking some new interest in a couple of new ceramic tooling for the for different metals and stuff. So that's kind of another, like we were talking about metals and ceramics, there's a time and place for each to weld certain metals. You can't use metal tools. You have to use metal, or you have to use ceramic and metal bits, like a composite.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But anyhow, those are joining methods for metals. Well, basically, ceramics, there's times when you need to join them as well. And so my study focuses on the arc welding. So using an arc, or an electric arc, to melt and join material together.
How hot does that have to get?
Good question. I know the melting temperature of the stuff that I physically weld. When I mix the two things that or the two or three things that I weld, when I mix them together, there's something called a eutectic reaction that happens. And so by mixing materials, their melting temperature of the individual phases drops. So if I had something that melted at 100 and something that melted at 800 degrees, and for some, that's just a very extreme example. And if for some reason these things paired and, were able to be melted together, then together they might melt at like 80 or 90 degrees. It's lower than both of their individual melting temperatures.
Cool. It's pretty wild.
So it is wild, yeah. And there's some thermodynamic reasons for why that happens. It has to do with Gibbs free energy, but I'm not going to say any more than that.
I love Gibbs.
That can be a mini Malarkey later, just a whole lecture on that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm qualified, honestly. But
you took the qualifier and passed.
That just means I didn't fail. It doesn't mean I really passed.
Nope, it means you passed.
Well,
if you don't fail, then you pass.
You passed in my heart, Jesse.
That's right.
Yeah.
In your eyes, I did pass. According to professors, I was good enough. So that's basically that test. Anyhow, so the methods for joining, though, are they kind of utilize a eutectic melting temperature. So I melt my stuff at 2,270 or 2,280 degrees Celsius. So it's pretty toasty. But
what's that in American degrees?
American degrees, it's like 4,000 something.
Eagles?
Yeah, it's.
I think it's 4,000 4th of July barbecue grills.
Yeah, 4th of July barbecues. That's right.
4,000 bags of Kingsford hot charcoal.
Yeah, so it's a lot. But basically, the kind of the joke that my professors have run is basically you can join a ceramic like you join a metal. You just have to do some things differently. So basically, take what people were learning back in the early 1900s about how to join a metal together. Whether that's brazing, welding, friction stir, whatever.
Tape.
All you have to do is really add 1,200 degrees Celsius to that, and basically you're good to go for ceramics. Except for hot. Yeah, it's very hot. 1,200 degrees Celsius. I preheat my stuff to 1,450 or 1,600 degrees Celsius for my specific stuff, but and then I hit it with a welder. That way it doesn't blow up. So it's a lot of cool stuff going on.
Whenever I make a pizza, I preheat the oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Is that close to 1,200 Celsius?
No.
No. Oh.
1,200 Celsius, I think that's 2,000 something. Basically, you almost double it when you're converting it from Celsius to Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's like plus.
It's 9/5, yeah, but
plus
basically just. Well, yes, I know. You basically
Good job, Adam.
double it.
I nailed it.
Adam, you'd pass the qualifier too.
Oh God.
Oh no.
The disappointment in Jesse's voice just thought, oh God.
Yeah.
So Jesse, my last question to you.
Sure.
In what circumstances would you need to join two toilets together?
Well, I'm not sure that you could do it with clays, but I think
that's something that ceramics lacks, but you could do two metal toilets. That's where metal has the advantage.
Clearly.
Okay.
You'd have to to weld it like I do, you'd have to make it out of some very, very pricey material.
Gotcha.
The reason I can do what I do is because these specific ceramics have high enough electrical and thermal conductivities to behave like metals, and those are the properties that let metals be welded and joined like they are. So this ceramic kind of acts like a metal, and lets us weld and join other things. So you'd have to make very expensive toilets, and then you'd have to heat the toilets very, very hot, and then you'd have to somehow not blow up the toilet when you struck the arc to it, which is what the preheat's for. You'd have to successfully strike the arc, let the welder run, and you can't do it by hand. You have to let a robot do it, because if you put your hand over there, it's gonna fry off basically, because it's too hot for your body. If you didn't know, you shouldn't stick your hands over thousands of degrees Celsius temperatures. I
saw that on Mythbusters, and you actually can.
Oh, you probably could for fractions of a second.
Yeah, if you dipped your hand in water first.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you can. Okay, there are people who do things like dip their hand in water and then they touch molten glass, and it's called the Leidenfrost effect, which is why you don't get burned. But it's a steam. The water superheats and turns into a steam, and the steam is escaping from the tips of your fingers or whatever touched the glass, and so you don't actually touch it. The steam touches it, and so there's no physical contact between you and the hot thing.
All right, Jesse, I hear you, but let me take you down this road.
Oh, boy.
We're made up of atoms, right?
I don't want to hear that we don't touch
you
anything.
Right.
You're
Andrew. Yeah, we're made up of atoms, which
no,
are
just
mostly space. So I'm not actually touching the molten glass, so therefore I won't get burned.
Well, I think it's not that we're made of space, it's that the electron clouds in our atoms repel against each other.
Yeah, something like that.
So
I'm going to let the physicists deal with that one. I don't have the knowledge or the willpower at the moment to argue against that.
Well, but we're not made of atoms. Jesse, Alec, and I are made out of cells. You're made of atoms, Adam.
Oh, okay.
I get it.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Wait, Jesse, I have a question for you. So,
yeah.
Well, actually, it's kind of, whatever. I'll just phrase it as one question. So you've mentioned the materials, metals and ceramics. I don't know what other kind of materials there are, but can you give a comprehensive ranking of all of the materials from best to worst, in your opinion?
Sure. I'd love to hear, if any of my coworkers listen to this, I'd love to hear what their opinions would be on this. But so there's 5 types of materials. We'll generalize. There's ceramics, metals, glass, which is typically considered its own thing. If you want to join that with something, you can join glass into ceramics, but we're going to keep it as its own thing. So ceramics, metals, glass, polymers, which are plastics and the like, and then composites, which are a combination of any of those 4. So fiberglass, or boats that are fiberglass, that's a glass and polymer composite. Stuff like that. You just mix 2 of the things together and it makes a better material that has desirable properties or whatever. All right, so composites, I think, will probably be number 1, the best, because you can tailor. Well, I mean, you can make a ceramic composite. You can make a ceramics metal composite, ceramic polymer. Well, I guess a ceramic polymer composite wouldn't work.
So
too
basically,
well,
just composites that have some sort of ceramic property to it.
Yeah, Well, I guess. I mean, a ceramic composite. Those are the things that GE's putting in their jet engines now, and they can run their engines hotter, get better fuel efficiencies, and stuff like that. They're getting better performance out of making the composite than they would out of individual materials.
Yeah, that's an S tier material right there.
Yeah, basically a composite is something that if it's going to take a lot of work, but if you put some work into it, you can tailor the properties that you want between the two or three materials that you make it out of.
Right.
But below that, I'm going to say that ceramics and metals are probably tied in the majority of your consumer daily life. Metals are probably going to have a higher application, but in terms of the electronics that probably run those ceramics or that run those metals, ceramics probably have a bigger role.
Interesting.
In terms of the capacitors and whatnot, and the ways that we store energy in those devices.
Mm-hmm.
And then polymers, they can do a lot. I'm going to rate them as like a second tier. So S tier would be your composites, ceramics, and metals. They're basically tied. And then polymers probably have a lot of uses in commercial everyday life. You know, you're wearing clothes that are made of polymers more than likely, or, you know, synthetic cotton or something. Polyester, stuff like that. But plastics do a lot in terms of behind the scene things. And then I'm going to rank glass below that.
Wait, so what are polymers A tier or B tier? B tier.
Those would be like a B tier.
And then A tier would be ceramics and metals both?
Ceramics and metals combined, because you couldn't really distinguish. They both play too much into each other in modern society to really be pulled apart. I'm sure somebody could pull them apart and rate why, but you know, if we're being honest, metals are probably higher at the moment than ceramics, just because ceramics haven't been studied as much as metals. But
which is where you come in.
Basically, yeah, I think I'm a third generation ceramic engineer. The first two ceramic engineer generations kind of figured out the basic problems without computers. And now that we have computers, we're on to very technical problems and like the really specific issues that we run into. So,
yeah, 100 years from now, you'll be known as the father of ceramics.
There will be other people who are way more justified for that title at the moment.
Well, then you'll be the daddy of ceramics.
Okay. I knew that was going there.
Thank you.
And I hate you so much for it.
Okay. Then to wrap this up, last but not least, glass, I would rate that at the bottom. There's a lot of cool uses for it, but for the niche uses like nuclear waste encapsulation in glasses, there's like really cool applications for it, but a lot of it just kind of gets overlooked. And sure, I mean, it finds its use, but I think it's just not as... It's everywhere. Like, we use it in our screens and our electronics and stuff like that, but I'd say it's just lower. It's not as widespread. The applications for it are kind of limited. They're expanding, but the applications that are expanded are very costly and, you know, intensive, and have tons of research going into them for these like little niche areas, like, you know, improving solar panels with better glasses or whatever, or better materials in the glasses to make a better efficiency solar panel or stuff like that. It's very niche. It's very localized to what you're putting that money in. It doesn't necessarily transfer as wide as, oh, I made a new polymer. You know, it can be used for this because it has this property, this property, this property. And then some guy looks at it, and guy or girl looks at it and says, oh, well, I could use that over here for this. And, you know, kind of spreads it out like that. I think glasses are a little less available to do that. So that's why I'd rate them lower. So I know if Dr. Brow, who is our glass scientist here on campus, was here, he'd probably smack me right across the face, but I don't know. To each their own, I guess.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Well, there you have it, the official ranking of the materials.
Yeah, there you do.
You heard it here
1
first.
through 5. Yeah. Yeah, if you made it to minute marker 53, congratulations.
You did.
Got educated.
That's the payoff.
Well, let's close it out then with the would you rather question.
Oh boy.
Who wants to go first?
Let's do reverse.
Reverse? So start with Jesse?
No, Adam, you have to answer first.
Oh, okay. So the question is, would you rather all electrical devices stop working, or the governments of the world are only run by people going through puberty?
Oh,
yeah. And I think my gut reaction is electrical devices stop working.
Well, can we fix them?
Can what?
Can we fix the electrical devices?
I don't know. There's just no electrical devices, period. We go back to the Stone Age.
We're all living in Pennsylvania on farms.
Yeah, and Lancaster.
Oh.
So I think, I don't need electrical devices. I'd be okay without it, I think, maybe. I don't know. I probably regret the decision.
Yeah, I think that's both Alec and my livelihoods. With Alec's, video stuff and my music.
Yeah, but, just imagine the governments of the world only run by people going through puberty. Nuclear winter is inevitable.
Well, sometimes with how our president tweets, it almost seems like someone going through puberty is running this country. Granted,
it's governments.
If everyone's doing it, it could be worse.
Yeah. So I'm going electrical devices. Final answer.
I guess I'll just be an acoustic band, so I think I'll go with the same answer, Adam.
Fair enough. Alec?
I think I'd rather have the governments be run by people going through puberty because you can always just send them to their rooms.
I was about yeah, that's a good point. They still have parents whose authority they have to respect. I'm changing my answer.
All right.
So you can always have a revolution,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have yet to beat Animal Crossing New Horizons, so I need my electronics for a little bit longer.
Are you
like
playing?
I said, yeah, the first week I went into quarantine, I hadn't had a break or a vacation in 15 months. I told my boss that I needed some time off, and then Corona hit.
You and your boss were on a break.
I didn't know you had a Switch.
Yeah, I played Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild again November-ish. Before we ended the podcast, I was playing Zelda, and then I beat that. And then I didn't beat it until after the qualifier. I basically quit playing for 2 months. But then I played that, and then this week, or 2 weeks ago, I played through all of Super Mario Odyssey. And then Doom Eternal came out, and I played and beat Doom Eternal. And
thanks, son.
It was a lot of fun. And then right now I have held off on Animal Crossing because I have these papers to do, but I will start that soon. I wish I could stream it, but I can't.
Yeah, Nintendo makes that hard. But yeah, let me know. Jules and I, because with the Switch, you have to have one joined island. Jules and I have all the fruit, so hit me up if you need anything.
Okay. Wow. Look at that. I'm already going to beat the game.
Yeah, man.
Heck yeah.
We got you.
Heck yeah. So, anyhow, I think that answers all the questions.
Yeah. All right. Well, hit us up on Twitter. That's at Malarkey, MILL Malarkey. Catch us next time for a mini Malarkey. See ya.
See you, boys.
Cool beans. See ya.
Bye.
You'd have to make very expensive toilets, and then you'd have to heat the toilets very, very hot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd have to somehow not blow up the toilet when you struck the arc to it.
No promises.
Yeah.